Bells were never just bells. They were instruments of resonance, devices crafted not only to mark time or call people to prayer, but to interact with the environment in ways that modern science refuses to acknowledge. Their destruction was never about collecting metal for war. That was the excuse, the official narrative designed to pacify the public while one of the last remnants of an ancient energy system was methodically erased. If the true purpose of these bells had been understood by the people, their removal would have been met with outrage rather than silent compliance. For centuries, the great bells of cathedrals, monasteries, and town squares were tuned to specific frequencies that resonated with the land, the atmosphere, and even the human mind. They were carefully cast from high copper bronze, an, an alloy chosen not just for its durability, but for its electromagnetic properties. When struck, these bells produced a complex harmonic spectrum, including infrasonic waves that could travel vast distances, penetrating the Earth itself, and interacting with the natural telluric currents that flow beneath the surface. These currents, the same ones that Tesla sought to harness for wireless power transmission, were subtly influenced by the vibrations of the bells. Their ringing was not just an announcement, but an act of tuning, keeping the energy of a settlement in harmony with the larger forces of nature. In the air, their effects were just as profound. The atmosphere is an electrical medium, a charged layer in constant flux. The bells, when rung in sequence from multiple towers, created standing waves that affected the ionosphere, stabilizing local weather patterns and dispersing disruptive energy accumulations. It is no coincidence that in regions where bells rang regularly, storms were less erratic, droughts less severe. This was a forgotten form of environmental engineering, one that operated not through force, but through resonance, aligning human settlements with the natural electromagnetic order of the planet. The effects on human consciousness were equally undeniable. Sound influences brainwave activity, and the deep, sustained tones of the bells encouraged states of mental clarity and emotional balance. Unlike the chaotic noise of modern cities, which keeps the brain in a perpetual state of low level stress, the bells induced a harmonic synchronization with alpha and theta brainwaves, states associated with deep thought, relaxation, and heightened awareness. In churches and cathedrals, where the architecture was designed to amplify these effects, the experience was even more profound. The buildings themselves became resonant chambers, enhancing the frequencies of the bells and creating an energetic field that permeated the space, aligning those within it to a higher state of order. Then suddenly, the bells were taken. Under the pretext of war, entire soundscapes were silenced. Cities and towns that had lived under the harmonic presence of these instruments for centuries were stripped of them, and with their absence came a shift, one that few could articulate but all could feel. What replaced them was not silence, but something worse. In their place rose a new network, one of artificial frequencies, broadcast not to harmonize, but to disrupt. Power lines, radio towers, and later microwave transmissions filled the void, replacing the natural resonances of the bells with pulsing electromagnetic interference. Instead of stabilizing local environments, these new frequencies fragmented them. Instead of calming the mind, they agitated it. The power grid itself was a crucial part of this transformation. Where the bells had once regulated telluric currents, the new system drowned them in artificial electrical noise. The standard 50 or 60 hertz frequency of modern electrical infrastructure is not benign. It is an imposed rhythm, one that does not align with natural biological processes but subtly grates against them. The result is an ever present state of low level energetic stress, one that weakens the body, clouds the mind, and disrupts the deep intuitive connection that humans once had with their surroundings. Weather, too, changed. With the bells gone, the natural resonance based stabilization of atmospheric energy was replaced by artificial interventions. What was once an organic process became one subject to external manipulation, first through early radio wave experiments, later through large scale electromagnetic projects disguised as communications technology, and ultimately through directed energy installations capable of influencing entire weather systems. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of this transition was how effectively it erased awareness of what had been lost. A generation that had grown up under the presence of the bells would have noticed the shift immediately. But as time passed, the memory of their effects faded. The new system became the standard, and the notion that sound and resonance could influence the environment was dismissed as mere myth and superstition. The belief that bells had any function beyond marking time faded into obscurity, and with that loss, humanity severed one of its oldest and most profound connections to the natural world. This was never solely about war, it was about control. Bells were independent, untaxed, and free. Their energy was owned by no one, their effects spread without limitation. The new system was centralized, regulated, and built for reliance. It was not enough to create power grids and communication networks. The old system had to be erased entirely, lest anyone recall that energy could be harnessed without wires, without fuel, without permission. The destruction of the bells was not a necessity, but an act of domination, not merely over material resources, but over the very frequency of human existence.